In the next 4 videos, we're going to learn how to create this display banner and all of the techniques and special effects involved. When you see the person that we use to turn into this model, you will be very amazed. Well, for right now, in this video, we're going to learn how to create the background. We're going to utilize this image throughout our design. Step 1 is make sure you set up an appropriate page size depending upon your output. Next, I'm going to pull down some guidelines. So just click and drag from your ruler and pull down. I'm placing them around the edge of my page to help me size everything and lock everything into place as we design. Make sure you come up to Snap to and turn Snap to Guidelines and Snap to Objects on if they're not on already. Well, I need to make a duplicate, so right click and drag your original up here, copy here, and what I'm next going to do is crop a section that I want to work with. So crop tool, and just through the eyes there, something like that will probably be close. Double click, and then I'll size this up according to our page size here. So effectively what I'm trying to do is, in fact that's fairly almost spot on right there. I simply want to have a section of the eyes running through here. Crop tool, which will also lock into the intersection of my guideline. Snap right there as you can see, and double click. Now what I want to do is flip this over horizontally, so mirror horizontally, and we'll create a duplicate. Right click and drag, copy here. What I'm going to do now is actually trace this image, and the reason I want to do this is to create a special effect, and I'll explain as I go. Up to Trace Bitmap, Outline Trace, and Clipart. Now I've deliberately chosen a low quality outcome because I want a type of cartoon effect with lots of jaggy edges on it. I don't want it to be smooth and clear. The reason for that is because we're going to colorize this to shades of blue and then utilize that to create the color of our background. If I come up to Effects, Adjust, Color Balance, as you can see I've got maximum cyan and maximum blue set. Why have I done this? To create backgrounds that are full of color and different in shape can be quite difficult. I find if I utilize a photograph and all of its natural elements, as we have here, this photograph has allowed us to have an array of various shades of blue that I can now perform some effects upon to create an unusual end result. So the actual photograph is not quite as important as the end result is at this point in time. Well, I'm going to come up to Bitmaps, Convert to Bitmap, and choose an appropriate resolution. And make sure that you have transparent background turned on. Work with RGB because we're going to go over to Photo Paint shortly. You definitely need transparent background for the next effect, and I'll show you what I mean. Up to Bitmaps, down to Creative, and Frame. One of my favorite effects. What this frame does is it'll actually cut in all the way around the edge of my image. And these sliders, horizontal and vertical, can adjust how much it cuts into your image, left and right, top and bottom. These cut-in areas are transparent. In other words, we'll be able to see a color through. If we had not turned on transparent bitmap, we wouldn't be able to do this. Click OK. I'm going to add a black rectangle and place that behind. So again, that will snap to the corner of our guidelines and snap again. And I'm going to give that the color black. Okay, now shift page down, and that places it underneath our image, and you can see that the contrast between the blue and the black is fantastic. Well, I'm going to shrink this just a little, and particularly the wrong one, that was the background. Select the blue top, and I'll shrink that in a little, and I'm going to now apply a blur effect. If I come up to Bitmap, Blur, we're going to go with Motion Blur. Now I've set the distance that I want, but effectively, based upon the direction of your little arrow here, the pixels within this image are going to spread both left and right and create a blur effect. And the distance of this blur will be based on how many pixels you set here. So let's click OK, and I'll just pause the movie to save some time. And that took around 20 seconds to calculate, and you can see it's a brilliant effect. I'm just going to move it to the right a little. Now we'll select our crop tool, and again it shifted pixels way outside the size, its original size, so we have to crop it now. Double click. One more effect to apply. We're going to now take our original image, and that will lock into our guidelines, and we're going to make it transparent. So under the interactive tools flyout, we've got the transparency tool. On the property bar, simply select uniform, and you can adjust the level of transparency. As you can see here, I'm going to go to 70 something, about right, will be about right, and we'll change the transparency operation to subtract, and this will allow the rich blues to come through in the background, and we can see her eyes in there, which is really great. So I'm going to group this together. Now eventually we'll convert this to a bitmap, and we will lose some of this brilliance in that process, but we'll make some adjustments at that point in time. So we'll bring our original photograph back and shift page up, and what we're going to do in our next video is we're going to do a model makeover on this little girl, and she will look like a professional model by the time we're finished.